Hello, we're going to be starting lab 2 now, and this is having to do with timers and some logic. And we're talking about the traffic light program, and we're going to have traffic lights that go north, south, east, west, and turn in that order. So basically, we're going to create a set of traffic lights on the screen that turn green, then yellow, then red. So we're going to do that for all three of these sections, these three directions. Now, we're not going to use any output or any inputs, and we're not going to use any outputs in this lab. We are going to come back and wire this lab at a later time and have these as LEDs. But for right now, we're not going to. We're just going to do them on the screen with an HMI screen. So that's our goal. Now we're also going to add a little twist to this. A little bit later, we're going to add some logic to it, but right now we're just going to create the three lights. So that's our first goal. So we're going to start with, we're going to call our project, create a new project, and we're going to call it traffic. And we're going to say create. And we're going to start like we did before. Create a project. We're going to create a PLC. We're going to create an HMI screen. We're going to tie the two together. And we're going to create some logic in the PLC. And then we're going to have the HMI describe what that logic is doing. So it gives us an output to a screen. So we're now ready to go under Project View. And like we did before, and go over and pick out, add a new device. We're going to click on, again, our buddy, the controller, the AS7-1200, the CPU, and we're going to go down to 1215, DC, DC, DC. Click on that guy. Pick the second one. And you remember that you said 4.7, but I have to say 4.4. So you leave it alone. I'm going to have to go back and change mine to 4.4 because I have an older controller than you do. And away we go. So we're going to start programming this. We're going to get the bits ready for that, and then we're going to go to the HMI and create an HMI just like we did before as well. And this takes a little bit of time, but we're going to start with timers. Now these timers are set up in milliseconds. So if I say 5,000, that would be 5,000 milliseconds or 5 seconds. So, we set up our Ethernet port to 3. Properties, general, down here. Set up our Profinet interface, Ethernet address. Go down and we set it up to, instead of 1, we put it to a 3. Okay, now we're going to click on over in our blocks, our programming blocks, and we're going to click on main. Going to give us a nice big space to program in. So I'm going to, you may not have to do this, but I'm going to have to click so I get my instructions over here on the right. And I'm going to click this guy up because I don't need that. I'm going to give me as much space as I can here. And I'm going to click this down as far as I can. And I'm going to throw a bit in there. It's going to call this reset. So we're going to call a bit called reset. And click enter. And again, it doesn't have any address to it, just there. So we got to right click on it and define tag. And we're going to define it as a global memory, M0.0. So that gets us started. Now we're going to go over here under timers, and we're going to pick an on delay timer, the second one down, pick the TON, and click on it. And when it turns green, we let it go. And then we're going to say timer 1. And click OK. And now we're going to we're going to put it, I put it in the wrong spot. We're going to bring it up here. So I have to physically drag it up here. Okay. Now, this is the preset time. And again, this is 5,000. And you notice what happens when we type in 5,000, it says 5 seconds. So it gets the idea. Now, we don't have to put anything in here for the elapsed time. Sometimes you do, but right now we don't have to do anything for that. And then I want to do another one. Bring it over and let go. And when it turns green, you let it go. And that's going to be timer 2. Okay, so when it's done, the second one comes on, and you have to fill in your time as well for it. And we do, and away we go. Now, when this one's done, timer 2.q, that feeds us to the next one. So now we're going to feed to the next one. So this would be timer 2.q for the output. So when it's done timing, and you'll see this when it happens, you'll actually be able to see this, it will turn on this bit right here. So when this one's done 5 seconds later, 5,000 milliseconds later, this bit turns on. So now we're going to come down here, and another timer. And when it turns green, you let it go. Call this one timer 3. Click OK. You're going to get bored doing 5,000s, but you should have all of them saying the same thing. Or maybe you want to go 3 seconds, 5 seconds, doesn't really matter, but you're going to have a time when you're going to be at that color. And then you're going to add another one. And it's going to be timer 4. Okay, at 5,000. We're going to fill each of these in as we go. And then we're going to have one more. We're going to start another. Click on this little guy right here. You click right in here. You get your cursor right there, and then you click on that to give you this little guy right here. Okay, that's how you add another one. And we're adding all this into network 1. So now you're going to do another one. You're going to say, now this would be what? This would be timer 4. We'll feed here, timer 4.q for the output. And then TON, another timer. If I turn screen, let go. Timer 5. And then 5,000. And timer 6. And 5,000. And you're almost done. Now, when timer 6 gets done, we're going to add a bit called reset. Okay, so basically when timer 6 gets done, we're going to add a bit called reset. So timer 6.q, and we're going to say the output bit reset. So we're going to do that right now. But we're going to come back and change that. But right now, I'm just going to call it reset. Okay, so when we get done, it comes back up here and starts us all over again. And you'll see that as we go through this. You'll see that actually happening. Okay, now, what about your lights, your physical output lights? Well, we don't have outputs right now. We're just going to have internal bits. So as we look at these, we say, okay, when timer 1 is timing, its input is on, but it's not done. How would you describe that? You'd say timer 1 timing, timer 1 dot in. In other words, it's in there, but it's not done. So we're going to say, but not done. Timer 1 dot q turns on our first light. What's our first light? Well, we said we're going to go with north-south. So we're going to go with north-south green. So this would be the first light that we turn on. It's normal, and we let go there. And I should have put this in the first network, but I can put it in the second network. I'm going to go back and put this in the first network. So I'm going to go back, put this right up here. So I'm going to put that right there. I'm going to move this up here. And then I'm going to move this piece right up there. Then I'm going to move this piece right up there. And I'm going to get rid of this, blow this away. Okay, now I've got moved up there. So this would be, okay, this would be north, south, green. So that would be a bit. Now we're going to right click on it. We're going to say define tag, and we're going to say not a local temp, but a global memory, and define, and keep going. So we're going to do another one. I'm going to say timer 2. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing for timer 2. So we're going to do the same kind of thing. And we're going to do this. We're going to say timer 2 in dot in. Okay, so we're going to do that, but not timer 2 dot done dot q. Allen Bradley is .dn, but Siemens is .q. So that's how when I say .done, that's how I'm confusing you, but don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. North, south, yellow. Okay, and that would be the next one in line, and that would roll over to the next bit, which would be 0.2. If I say global memory, and it will go to bit 0.2. Notice how that rolls to the next one, 0.1, 0.2. And now we're going to go and we're going to say not green or not yellow. So not green or not yellow. So not north, south, green. So we're going to say not north, south, green, and not north, south, yellow. Gives me what? Well, that should give me north, south, red. So that's what we're going to do. If it's not green, it's not yellow, it's red. So we're going to say north, south, red. Okay, now that gets me those 3 bits. Okay, that gets me those 3. And again, global memory, define, done. Now let's go down and do the same thing for the east-west and the turn. So I can do the same thing here, and I'm going to do this exact same thing, and I'm going to do .in. Okay, so this would be timer 3, timer 3.in, but not, oops, gotta put it right up here. When it turns green, you let go. I'm just going to delete it, start again. Okay. Not timer 3.q. Okay. That will give me north, south, excuse me, east, west, green. Okay, that gets me the next one, and then we define tag, and it rolls over to the next bit. Global memory, define, done. Keep going. Drop another one in. Okay, and this one is timer 4. .in, but not timer 4.q. Will give me east-west, yellow. Hello. Okay, that's east-west yellow. Right click, define tag, global memory, define. That gets me all but east-west red. So now I've got to do the not of, excuse me, undo that. This is my undo button right there. So I go back. Now I can do this, drop down. So I can do the not of timer, excuse me, of east-west green. Just type E and it comes up with the first, it comes up with the first one. Do it again, type E again, and then get the yellow. And then I come back over here and drag a coil down. And now I'm doing east-west red. So now I have east-west covered, and that's good. Now I got to do the turn lane, so I got to do 3 more. So that's the only thing left, and then we can try this out. So it's the east, whoops, I did it again. I want to go back. Okay, so I want to do a drop down. So I want to do timer 5. Dot IN, but not timer 5 dot Q. And that gives me the turn lane green. Turn lane green. Okay, and then I go right click and global variable and define 0.7. Okay, then drop down again. Timer 6. Timer 6 dot in, but not timer 6 dot Q. And that gives me turn lane yellow. So now I right click on that and it rolls over to the next byte. If you look at this, it goes to byte 1 now and bit 0. So it's 1.0. So we did, it changed a little bit here, but we're keeping, they just keep going on this M bits. Okay, so that's our last timer 1, but we've still got to add the red, which is the not of green. Turn green, the not of turn green, and the not of turn red, or excuse me, not of turn yellow, and then we go with turn green. So that's our coil. Turn yeah, red. Okay, so we're going to do the turn red. Right click, create a tag, and that gets us another M bit. And we type that in and we're rolling. Okay, now we've got all of the bits tied down so we can run this with let's see if it works. Okay, so let's just see if this works. Now I'm going to compile it and download it. See if it works. It asks me a bunch of questions, but I'm going to try to see if I can do a download. So it says show devices and click on that and it says load and I want to load. You might have to click on show devices with the same address or might have to click on show all available addresses, that type of thing, but we didn't have to. But anyway, continue without synchronization. We've done that. You have to answer the pink, say stop all, and say load. Finish. Okay, so we're going online. Let's see if it works. And I'm going to go to the top up here, and I'm going to click on the glasses. Let's see if this thing works. And you see, it is already working because as these timers turn on, the next one in line will turn on. That one turned on. I'm going to shrink this down a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. You should be able to see all the all these turning on. See the next one turning on? Now when this one's 5 seconds is up, this turns on. Now this one's turning on. And it just keeps going. Starts over again. See it starting over again? See it going through these? Green and yellow. Then green, then yellow. Starts over. Green, yellow, then green. Like a traffic light, like what you would want on a traffic light. Yellow, and then green, yellow. Verify that this part of it works first. Green and then yellow. Green and then yellow. And then green and then yellow. If it all works, you're ready to go ahead. All right, looks pretty good. So let's go ahead, let's go back offline and let's create some more logic. So now we've got this working. Now let's go and add a HMI screen to this. So now we're going to add a device. And now we're going to HMI. And we're going to add a basic panel. And let's go with our 10-inch guy again, 10-inch display, and the second one. And click OK. So we're now going to add 9 lights to our HMI screen. So I go next, 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 finish, done. We want to go onto our HMI screen, do the same we did before. Under screens, delete the root screen, add a screen, change the runtime settings so that the screen 1 is our startup screen. And we come down under screen management and get rid of the template that we don't need. Like we did before. This is kind of like what we've done. This is like what we've done before. Now I also want to go up here under this device configuration and click on this little green guy right down here and make sure that I've got my IP address set to 2. Okay, set to 2. And I want to check my settings again because I haven't looked at my settings lately to make sure that my settings on my computer are still set to 2. And they are, so that's good. So now I should be able to go back up here, devices and networks, and draw a line between the two. Well, I've got network going, and under connections, draw a second line and get those dashed lines. Okay, now I've got the dashed lines. I should be able to make a good connection between the two with my HMI. So now I'm going to go down to my screen 1. And I'm going to bring what looks like a traffic light over here and maybe make it a little bit bigger, maybe leave it the way it is. I don't know, maybe make it a little bit bigger. Okay, now I'm going to do something that Control C, Control V makes me a second one. Control V makes me a third one. Now I'm going to copy these three. Control C, Control V makes me a second set of three. I got them, and I'll do another set of three, and I've got three sets. So now I've got my traffic lights. Now, if you haven't learned how to do Control C, Control V, that is how you would copy these, or you can drag them all over individually. But basically, I now have what I can see as my traffic lights. Now, I have to automate each of these individually, so I got to go down here under Properties. So I highlight the first one under Animation, and under Display, I find Add a New Animation. Okay, I'm not going to move anything, but I am going to animate it, and it's going to be my appearance. So I'm going to do the appearance of something. So whatever it is, I'm going to do the appearance of it. Okay. Okay, so now I have to animate the appearance. Now it comes up as the appearance. Okay, so I click on I want to animate the appearance. Now the name of the tag is the bit that I called north-south red. That's north-south red. So I'm going to go over here and find that under my PLC tags. So I got to find it over there under default tag table. And north-south red is that first light. So that's what it's going to be. And I come down here and I have to do my animation, my automation of it right down here, which is sort of like kind of squished down, but I have to do it anyway. I've got to come down here and say when it's a 0, it's going to be white. Okay, but when it's a 1, in other words, when it's on, I don't want it to be white. I want it to be another color. And you get to pick. So you say, I want it to be red. So when it's off and it's white. When it's on, it's red. So that one is done. That's all they have to do. But now you have to do each of them the same way. Okay, animation. This is the north-south yellow. So add new animation. Appearance. And it's the north-south yellow. And it's when it's 0, it's white. When it's a 1, it is yellow. Pick that one for yellow. And then you come down here again, and this one is north-south green. So add new animation. Appearance, tag name, north-south green. And then I go down here and I add 0, it's white. 1, it is, better be green. Let's pick a green color. Let's pick a nice green out of this whole menagerie of colors. Let's pick a light green, or you want a dark green? I want the light green. I'm going to do that one. Okay, so now I'm a firm believer in testing this before I sink all my time into them all. So I'm going to do the click on compile. I'm not going to do the other 2 rows yet. I'm just going to do this one row. So I'm going to say screen 1. I'm going to compile. I'm going to start simulation. Now this will only be the first row, but I'm going to see if it works. Now I've got this working. Now I already have my PLC program. Hopefully it's running. Maybe it isn't. Now it is. It's running. See what it's doing? The other 2, when they're running, these have not been designed yet. So I can now go back and say, I've got this working. All I have to do now is go back and do it for the other 2, and close this out, and I can now finish off and make sure that I'm okay. Okay, so that's all I got to do. So I'm going to do that for this row, this column, and then this column. So this would be my east-west, right? So this would be my east-west red. Properties, add new animation, appearance. Appearance, okay. Then I come down here and I say east-west green. No, east-west red, Ted. East-west red. Okay. And when it's a 0, I want it to be white. When it's a 1, I want it to be red. Right, there's my red. Okay, so that's that one. When I come down here, this is my east-west yellow. So I come up here and I say east-west, add new animation, appearance. I can make things invisible if I want to. Visibility, I can do that, but I'm not doing that. I'm just adding appearance. Okay, now address, this would be east-west yellow. And then add a bit. So when it's a 0, it is white. When it's a 1, it is yellow. One of these two, I think it's this one right there. Okay, so that's my yellow. So that's good for that one. And then I come down here and click on this one and add new animation, appearance, and this is what bit? This is east-west green. Okay, so now I go down and I look at it. I've got east-west at a bit. So when it's 0, it's white. When it's a 1, it is green. So get a nice green. There's a nice green, and I'm good to go. Okay, so that one's there. Now I got to do the final column, and this is my turn lane. So I highlight that. Animation. Add new animation. Appearance. This would be turn lane red. Turn lane red. Add new animation, so that would be a 0, be white. When it's a 1, I'm going to bring this up a little bit. Say 1, it is red. Okay, keep going. Just about done. So now we go down here. This is the east, this is the turn lane. Turn lane yellow. Turn lane yellow. And 0 is white. 1 is yellow. Nice yellow. There you go. Okay. And the final one is right here. This is the final one. This is a turn lane green. Appearance. Okay. Turn lane green. And 0 is white. 1 is green. Right there. Okay, so we're now done. We've got all 9 of them done, and we're going to come back and we're going to compile. And we're going to start simulation. See how we do. And we're in the middle of something because it's already running. See that? It's already running. There we go. So there's our traffic lights. You can imagine this would be one set over by one post. This would be another one on another post. This would be another one on another post. They're not right in a row sitting there right side by side, but you can now see that they are actually working. Okay. There's no delay between each one of them turning on, where we didn't add the little time delay between when things turn on. But again, you can kind of get an idea that this is how timers would work. Now we're going to do one more thing here, and this is kind of an adder, but we're going to set a bit that turns on when a person walks up to ask for a pedestrian all walk. So we're going to add a bit that basically says request um, a pedestrian request. Okay, so we're going to add that. Now, this is a sticky bit that turns on with certain events and it turns off with certain events. And I want you to understand that this is something that you're going to use in later labs, and you're going to do this more, and you're going to do it when you get to the Rubik's Cube lab, especially. You're going to have more of these, what I call sticky bits that are created, they're memory bits, and they're created on an occurrence, and then they turn off on another occurrence. So we don't know exactly what that occurrence is yet, but we're gonna work at it. Now it's in your text. We're gonna look at your text here for a second. It's in your book. It's called request. Excuse me. It is called. Let's look here and see what it says. It's called request walk. So the actual bit is request walk. Now it's going to set this bit over here. And there's something over here that turns it off. But for right now, we're going to seal it with, this is the same seal that we used with the, when we had our counter circuit or when we were counting hot dogs. This is the memory bit that sets that. So you can do it this way or you can do it another way. I'm going to show you the other way in the program, but you can do it this way or you can do it the other way. Either way works. Now, I don't want to confuse you, but I'm going to do it the other way with in the demo. Okay. So I'm going to do it a little differently, but it's the same thing. It's a sticky bit. Okay, we're going to stick a bit on a request. So we're going to say, okay, so now we're going to say, I want to request walk. Okay, so I'm going to say I want to request to walk. It's a bit. We make it an occurrence, an event. So a request to walk. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to request to walk. You know, that's another bit, and that's going to be an input. It's going to be something that we're going to have a button associated with it. Button just like we did before with the button that we did before with the hot dog lab. But now I'm going to, instead of using a coil, I'm going to use another bit, which is like a coil, but it is called a set and a reset. So we're going to use a set bit. So this is going to be the same. This is going to be sticky. This is going to be setting of the bit. This is going to be request remembered. So you're going to say, I'm remembering that I made a request. Define tag. This is going to be another bit. This is going to be a global memory. Okay. So that's going to be that. Now, how do you then, what do we do with this? Well, we add another timer up here. We say, okay, instead of being done right here, we're going to add another timer. We're going to say, okay, if we do that at the time when we do that, everybody's going to walk after they got through the whole sequence. So basically, we're going to do that here. We're going to basically put another timer on timer 6. So we're going to add a 7th timer. So timer 7. This is going to be timer 6. Dot Q. In other words, when we're done, we're going to add another timer. Call it timer 7. And it's going to have 5 seconds as well. Okay, so now we have a 7th timer. We haven't changed anything up here yet, but we are going to in a minute. But we're going to say down here now, if there is somebody that has requested, so timer 6 and no request, in other words, when there's nobody requesting, request remembered. In other words, you can walk up and hit a button and it sticks, request remembered. So if there's no request remembered, request remembered. Okay, if there's no request remembered, then you hit it. But if you had a but if you have timer 7 dot Q, if they did remember, so if timer 7 dot Q, if they did see what I'm saying? Request remembered. If they did push that button, okay, now our request works, but how do we turn off request remembered? Well, if it happened and at the end of timer 7, you'd want to reset it and go back to nothing. So basically, at this point in time, we can come down here and say timer 7, timer 7 dot Q would be a reset, or what? Request remembered. See how this works? So you walk up anytime and push this button and it's sticky. It sets this bit. At a later time, it comes along and it resets that bit and lets you not have to do it again. So now the request to walk is the button that we have to add to our HMI screen. So we can compile this and see if it works and download it. Okay. It should work. I don't think we did anything that should mess it up. It should work. And we get downloading it. And hopefully it works. We have that part of it working. Let's get the other part, which is the okay. So now here you say now it's coming up and say every time you have the choice, always say PNIE, start search, and anyway, sometimes you have to recheck this box here and show all devices, but no, it's going to set there and it's going to find it. And network assignment, yep, they're fine, we're good. And then you click on load, it found it, and you can click on load, and it's going to load. So you're all set there. Load, we're good. Online, on the glasses, and you're good. The glasses actually you have to do that or to show that you can see this working. Hopefully you can see it working. But let's go back and add our button. Okay, so this is our button that we're going to have to add on our HMI. So we're going to go down here and request walk is the button we're going to add, and screen 1, we're going to work on screen 1. I'm going to come over here and add a button and call that request walk. Okay, make it a little bit bigger because we run out of space. Now we click on it, properties, and you remember from last time, it has a property called what? Events, press. You start typing the bit set, and it says set bit while key pressed. That's all you need to remember. And now it's looking for the bit, and that bit is what? Request walk. Go up here under my tag bits and click on request walk. Click on that. Now I come up here and compile. Look up here on my screen 1. Get the blue box, start simulation. Now I can go back and see if it works, and hopefully it does. And when it does, then I can say, okay, now I'm going to watch it normally. This is normal. And as soon as the yellow gets done, it'll come back over here. Now, I'm the person requesting a crosswalk, so I'm going to click on that. Now this time it should wait at the end when it gets through and it should all go red for 5 seconds. Now we watch and see if it does. If it's working, when it gets through the yellow, they should all turn red for 5 seconds. There they are. Then it goes back to normal. And if you look at it, now the sticky bit is reset and we're back to normal. So if it's working correctly, it won't this time stay at 5 seconds with it all red. Now it should go back to green. There you go. So we can try it again and you can have fun with it. You can also add legends above these. This would be your north-south, your east-west, and your turn lane. You can maybe separate them a little bit, but you can see the idea. You can make it prettier, but it basically is. It's a working traffic light. Take care. Have fun.